so amazing to be able to be in this room and for everyone to come together. So thank you so much to everyone who might have travelled from different corners in the country to be here. I think it really does make such a difference. I'm really surprised as well by how tough some people are. Well, I guess it's always the thing, isn't it? It's like, oh my god, everyone's legs. But I think one thing we have learned and what today kind of aimed to show us was that staff and students alike have a commitment to this as a shared project. And the student survey's success does depend on our commitment to the promotion of the survey, the analysis of the data, and our feedback from our experiences with engaging with the project so they can continue to be enhanced. So I have about 5 pages of notes that I'm going to quickly go over from the main findings of most of the sessions today. So from an increasing staff engagement point of view, the biggest issue time and time again has been that of staff workload and resources, and that we need to make sure that the survey is beneficial. So we need to make it clearly worthwhile and measurable, and making that institutional data easily available. So many of the suggestions that came forward from those groups was that to increase transparency regarding the amount of time it requires for a staff member to commit themselves to this, promote the benefits of participating in student survey for staff, and also how to show students how this one is more important. So somebody referenced making it almost similar to that of the census, which I really enjoyed, and ensuring that we do that going forward. Also, a lot of feedback from staff was that we need to continue to increase the students' response rates, because by there being more students involved, that of course shows staff as well the weight that's behind it. So that also applies to involvement in the survey questions, and also actions on outcomes from the survey, which I'll touch on again in a minute. On the group in relation to data automation, it was referenced that there's a lot of benchmarkable data, but it can be very challenging to condense that data into something that's useful for all stakeholders. A lot of staff can waste time maybe trying to find the information that's relevant to their institution, and there is a need to focus on actionable outcomes and institutional specific supports in order to do that. So generally, more support in ensuring that you were able to analyse the data in a way that's beneficial for you. For the PGR group, there was a discussion in relation to academic isolation and the need for more informal opportunities, and concerns regarding anonymity at a department level, and perhaps focusing on ensuring that things are brought up to an institutional level to ensure that students are really comfortable in engaging and providing that feedback. Also, there was reference to simplifying the qualitative responses into positive, negative and neutral, although that might lose some information at cards, it would make the data more broadly accessible and would assist in reviewing it. In relation to the data visualization, I think it would be impossible to really go into detail about that, but there was a lot of feedback provided to people in relation to the way the data is provided in the online format, the graphs, and of course plenty of what's the word I'm looking for, praise for the trends of over time data, which was recently announced, so a huge congratulations to everyone that was involved in that. In relation to partnership, my favourite part, while promotion is really good at an institutional level, we continually need more collaboration between staff and students on the actions and results following the reporting of the findings from the survey. So we need to connect the outputs with the data that students provide and show the importance of this survey and show that the work that institutions are doing and the impact that it really has. So in order to do that, there's been an awful lot of discussion about communications, targeted communications, and also accessible snapshots of data alongside the reports. So as well as when the reports come out, ensuring that we have accessible snapshots that people can engage in at a point of contact. There was also a discussion in relation to the inclusion of minority students who might not necessarily always see themselves represented in national surveys, and ensuring that we bring them with us, ensure that they are involved, and also of course thinking outside of the SUs and engaging with students that are on the ground that might not have the privilege a lot of us have in seeing the work that the staff do. On the report automation tool, I'm sickened that I missed this because the feedback that came from it was really incredible. It was a tool that's developed in Mary I, which I've heard oohs and ahs of all day, and apparently it's absolutely fantastic and incredibly easy to use. So in case anyone like myself missed it, all you need is a browser and an Excel sheet, where you're able to access a spider diagram where you can see the information in an accessible and easy to read way almost immediately. So huge congratulations on that. Apparently it's still in development, so I'm very excited to see what comes of that. On page 4 or 5. In relation to the qualitative data, there was a huge importance placed on human interpretation of the data and the incredible workload that comes alongside that, and the patience that is required from staff to manually read through all of this feedback. There was a request to have more annual workshops prior to key calendar events surrounding StudentSurvey.ie as we move through things annually, and that it would be very helpful to have skills building opportunities and also more case studies provided. As we've seen there, I think case studies can both teach you but also kind of really energise everyone to kind of see what's possible. And also the annual occurrence of the survey has been criticised and praised, I think, with equal measure throughout the year due to the timelines, and a lot of people have said that by the time change can happen, you're filling in the survey again. So that's something that I'll come back to in a second. There was a love for the open-ended questions. It was praised that there is an avenue to express yourself, and while it both offers feedback on what might not be included in the survey, it also assists us in knowing what perhaps needs to be included in the survey in the future when we review those questions again in a little while. On the life cycle, there was a hugely contentious issue, like I said, annual versus biannual, with one room being 50-50 split and the other room being 14-19, so I won't tell you which way it lies. But there's really strong arguments for both in relation to the ability to follow up on the actions from the survey of the year, but then also the other side arguing for the recognition of the survey in year and the students that might be missed. So while comms are improving, there does need to be a breath of new life fed into them, and there is great excitement and energy for that, and there is broad agreement regarding the importance of StudentSurvey.ie in the higher education sector across the country. So this is just the beginning. I think these consultations will continue into the autumn, so I would say, please make sure you offer your feedback to Siobhan, and she's always there and very, very eager to gather any feedback that you can. We've highlighted a lot on how we can enhance our engagement, close feedback loops, but I've heard something fantastic that perhaps we just link feedback groups because they should never be closed because it sounds like they're ending. So I think it's a very, very exciting time for this, and I would just like to thank everyone for their participation today. Also a huge thank you to all of the facilitators for giving their time in facilitating today's sessions. Thank you to Atlantic Technological University and NUI Galway for hosting us. All of the student representatives who committed their time to promoting and providing your peers with everything from Dyson hair wraps to airline vouchers and many other things that we heard today. And also, of course, the staff who read every page of data outputs, combed through qualitative data, and particularly over the last 2 years, perhaps sitting cross-legged on the couch in maybe an environment that isn't as energising or supportive as you would like. It goes an awful long way, and we would be nothing without the people that do that. A huge thank you to the co-sponsors, the steering group, and members of all, I think, 8 working groups involved in the student survey. They're incredibly important, and although I think we might not always see the fruits of our labours, none of it would work, and we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of that involvement, so thank you so much. And lastly, and most importantly, I would like to highlight and say thank you so much to Siobhan. None of us would be here without her, nothing would happen without her. I think she's an individual that we can all recognise in the sector whose kindness is only outshone by her competence. And I would just like to ask everyone to give a huge round of applause.